Welcome everybody to another episode of the Nerd Continuity, where we talk about design, development, and all other crazy sorts of stuff that we find on the internet. And oh boy, what a crazy week it was this one, right, Michael?
Oh, this was interesting week. Yeah.
Yes, it was pretty crazy, terrible, interesting, whatever. But anyway, I'm your host, Alex, as usual. With me, the master of the universe, Michael Dambold. What? Last week you were a sexy beast. This week you're a master of the universe.
Oh, there you go. I keep ranking up. I don't know how much higher you can go beyond master. He's a dude who draws. Eventually he's gonna degrade and be like, yeah, that's Michael.
That's Michael.
It's super like the Saturday Night Live thing where it's like, and I'm Judy's.
Yes.
That'll be me.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Anyway, let's jump into this amazing episode that is not really related about design or development, but as I say, a lot of crazy stuff from the internet. So the first news, and it's kind of a weird news that I have a lot of thoughts about it and a lot of scary things. AdBlock is an extension of the browser to block unwanted ads, was just acquired by a mysterious buyer. And what's the price? The acquisition price?
I don't know if they have actually said what the price was. Let's see. I have not been able to find anything about the price, but it must have been huge. It must have been several million. I mean, at least, millions.
Company won't disclose who it's been sold to, why it was sold, or how much it was sold for. That is weird.
Yeah, so 40 million people who are currently using AdBlock are now sending their web data. And we're talking all web data because AdBlock watches everything, including, you can even check it to do your private searches, but pretty much everything you do on the internet is being watched by AdBlock, and that information is now being sent out to some undisclosed company. So we really don't know who it is, and that's terrifying, to be honest. I don't understand why they would be so cagey about it. Because usually when you have acquisitions and buyouts, there's a reason, they're pretty open about it. And they're like, Apple acquired so-and-so. Like when Apple acquired Macromedia or something like that. Even smaller companies, when Facebook bought Instagram and that kind of thing. And Yahoo bought this, that.
Yeah, they're proud to announce it. We acquired this company and we're going to boost up all these products and stuff. So.
And we have no idea who bought AdBlock.
I have an idea.
Go ahead. What do you think?
I did a bunch of research actually, and I put some pieces together. For sure, I'm gonna be completely wrong, but for me, Google bought it. I'm saying this because for two main reasons. First, AdBlock at the beginning was trying to avoid Google AdSense. The entire network environment of Google AdSense, because Google AdSense is not terrible. AdBlock is useful for terrible ads. Those ads that pops out in the front of your face, it starts shaking and they cover the entire website, or wait 30 seconds to read this article, or this is stupid. So at the beginning, AdBlock was kind of user-friendly. I was blocking those ads, like audio ads or those disturbing ads that were kind of like malware and virus or this other thing. But
those ads that so doctors hate her.
Exactly.
She used avocado to save her children from another dimension.
From avocado from another dimension.
Yeah.
But recently, AdBlock became more and more brutal. And so basically it's blocking everything. And Google released actually 6 days ago a statement that said that AdBlock is actually damaging Google, is damaging the revenues, not only content creators and users that use AdSense to earn some money with their own website or YouTube channel, whatever, but is damaging also Google, because clients, huge clients, are not investing anymore in AdSense because they don't see a revenue coming back anymore. And statistics says that a fifth of the whole revenues of Google AdSense was just deleted from AdBlock. A fifth, like that's a lot. Like we are talking about billions of dollars. So I think Google bought it. Google doesn't want to say it. He's gonna keep working, keep AdBlock active, but is gonna use a backdoor to allow Google AdSense.
Possibly. I almost wonder also if maybe Yahoo bought it. As somewhat of a leg up on Google. I don't know. Like, it's very odd because even with the large acquisitions, like from Google or Yahoo or any other large company, it's usually pretty open. They're pretty open about it. Even if people aren't happy with it, they're still pretty open with their buying process, and so it's very shady. So actually, as soon as I got it out, as soon as I found out, it was actually I went to Reddit to see what some of their recommendations were, and one of the recommendations was, I cannot remember the name. What was the name of it? It was let's see, it was uBlock lowercase u, capital BLOK, Origin. There are two types. uBlock Origin is the original. It's the original uBlock plugin, and it's actually very good. Yeah. And actually, interestingly enough, it's actually lighter on your browser than AdBlock has been. Oh. AdBlock became very heavy, and it causes a lot of problems. It can actually cause server slowdowns, or browser slowdowns. Yeah. And there have been several times where a website, even like Google, will not load, and I'm seeing a message that says waiting on AdBlock. And it just takes forever. Wow. And uBlock Origin doesn't have that problem, and actually my browser experience in Chrome has been much faster whenever I switched over to uBlock, because I'm very uncomfortable with. I mean, I'm not doing anything wrong, but I'm very uncomfortable with someone that I don't know, whose agenda I don't know, is watching my browser activity. Yeah. Basically, and it's and I don't like the idea of, well, if you're doing nothing wrong, you shouldn't be concerned. Well, when I go to the grocery store, I'm not doing anything wrong, but I don't want some shady person following me through the grocery store with an agenda that I don't understand. It's not an issue of this is not the police. This is not a legitimate authority that's, just checking up on a street to make sure everyone's okay. Yeah. This is some private company with some private agenda that is viewing your content for whatever reason. Yeah. And I just, it's a very, it kind of turns into a straw man argument whenever, people say, oh, well, I'm fine with it, I'm doing nothing wrong. Well, that's fine, but neither is anybody who gets mugged outside of a convenience store. Yeah, no, exactly. It's not a legit argument. It's not a strong argument. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter that because you're not doing anything wrong. Everyone is allowed to watch your private stuff. No. Yeah. No. Strangers can totally come in and just stand around and watch me cook food in my apartment because hey, I'm not doing anything wrong. Doesn't mean I want strangers watching me cook food. So it's unnerving, and it's a violation of privacy. So the idea of privacy is not allowing your privacy to be violated because you're, quote, doing nothing wrong. The issue is assuming right to privacy is assuming that you're doing nothing wrong, but you don't have to be stared at all day. Yeah. This is the kind of thing he's staring at me. Well, it unnerves us when people stare at us. It unnerves us when we feel like we're always being watched. Yeah. That's actually a genetic thing. That's in our genetic code. No mammal likes to be watched because that's predatory. Yes. That's whenever animals are watched in the wild, that's usually the person, the whatever is watching the other animal is the predator. Yeah. And that just is always going to be the case with us. Yeah, we are the prey. When we were tribes running around in the Serengeti, or running around in Native America or in Northern Europe, and all we had were stone tools. We were at the we didn't want to be watched because there could be large predators following us. So the idea that people think that they're too right or too righteous to not care. Yeah. They're ignoring the fact that humanity for thousands of years has survived because we don't like being watched, because being watched means that something is wrong.
Yeah.
And that triggers that part of our brain, and so it doesn't matter. I mean, again, it's not the issue of you're doing something wrong. It's just the issue. It becomes unnerving, especially when someone you don't know starts watching your every move.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you assume malice on the person, the private person. I'm not talking about the police or government. I'm talking about malice on the private person who's watching you and who's staring at you and creeping you out.
Yeah.
So. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant, but I hate seeing those straw man arguments.
No, yeah, absolutely. That's why I hope and I pray that it was Google, because please be Google.
If it was Google, I mean, Google already knows pretty much everything about everybody anyway. So
it's
not.
We are in the Google world, so that's the first fact, and the second fact is that it's not gonna use, they already know your stuff. They already have your kind of private information, so they're not gonna get anything from AdBlock, like the database of users of AdBlock, but they're gonna use AdBlock to empower content creators and block all the other ads that are like malware or Trojan horse,
which needs to happen. I mean, I agree. I mean, it's really difficult whenever you look at Google. When you look at the Google Analytics, sometimes an AdBlock would be an asset for that. Especially if you have, let's say you have this made-up client, and this made-up client has a new website, and they put a lot of money into AdSense, and they want to track it, or they want to track who's blocking their ads, who's keeping track of their, are their ads actually working well, or how many ad hits are relating to conversion, how much conversion what's their conversion rate basically, and sometimes it's very difficult to answer that question, because you're looking at all the data going, this is a little weird, because if half the people who go to their website are using ad blocker, then you're not exactly sure. I mean, you're not exactly sure how many people are seeing the ads versus the conversion rate, and that really kind of ad blockers screw up the conversion rate, because
especially because in the policy of Google AdSense, it said that the advertiser, so the user, the company, the business that pays to show their ads, is not gonna pay anything unless the ad is visible at 100%. Unless Google has the empirical proof that those ads were viewed 100% by a human eye and not by a bot or blocked by AdBlock, the advertiser is not going to pay. So he's going to get free publicity until you get 100% views from a human being. So Google is super damaged by this thing. So
and it is difficult because whenever you work in SEO, I do a lot of this just as part of my job, and I've been doing this for a while. But I've been doing SEO for a while, and I have a good turnaround with it. I have good results every time. And what's happening, what I'm seeing lately is anything that's actually hurting Google is actually hurting me. To an extent, because if I'm setting them up for Google, if I'm setting a client up for Google Analytics, and I'm, I've had a few friends ask me, should I invest in AdSense? And I say no, because at this point right now, AdBlock is doing so much damage to Google that I just tell them you'll be wasting money at this point. Depending on what they want. I mean, if there's something that I think AdSense would do great with, I would totally recommend it. But most of the time, it just tends to, depending on the audience of the person, it tends to kind of fall on deaf ears or deaf eyes or deaf browsers, I guess. However you want to put that. But it's I mean, I don't tend to. I mean, AdSense used to be, I think back in 2006, AdSense was fantastic. AdSense, and even 2008 and 2009, it could make or break your site. And I knew this guy who owned a company in Lafayette, in Louisiana, and he told me that most of his business came because of AdSense, because he was spending, he didn't I don't remember how much he was spending, but it was a significant portion of online money, and it was doing great for him. It was just raking in the sales. Basically, he said he accounted for double digits of his sales.
Wow.
A double-digit percentage of his sales came from AdSense back in 2009. But I have not heard of anything like that after 2010.
Oh no!
When AdBlock became kind of important, and even today, it's almost kind of turned into I don't know, like the Zune of advertising in some ways.
Yeah, it's not working anymore.
It was big, but it's not really working anymore.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Google will solve that problem if they've bought AdBlock. I mean,
yeah, that would be great.
Completely solves the problem.
I really hope that.
All they need to do is just repackage it to something that works with them, and then the users may be a little screwed, but they're fine.
I totally seriously. I like Google AdSense because first, our real ads are not like you said, like fake ads that they just pretend to be ads just to redirect you to a website full of bots and stuff like that. Are real ads. And sometimes I remember 2-3 years ago, I used to find interesting new website through the ads inside another website. Like you're inside the Next Web or Smashy magazine, and on the sidebar you have these ads about related stuff, so coding stuff, design stuff, all through Google AdSense. And they're great because they are a call to action to other content related to what you're interested to. So it's good. It's good advertising. So I totally, or AdBlock or whatever new owner should allow a backdoor for Google, because otherwise Google is going to do something or is going to buy it or is going to crash it, and they can do it.
Yeah, they may shelve it. Actually, I mean, they may buy it and shelve it and not support it anymore. I mean, that's happened in the past.
Yeah.
So they'll buy something and be like, "This is great, okay," and they chuck it into the back of their warehouse, like a scene at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark where they just put it in a crate, and it's they just cart it off to this
is great,
giant warehouse
and it's
in the
down.
Yeah, it's gone forever. Goodbye, AdBlock.
That's so. Speaking on some web design related stuff, actually we have this stuff, but it's not really design, maybe more development. There's an article in Smashy magazine about this Rail, that is a user-centric model for performance. Basically, the quick explanation of this article is that we shouldn't calculate the performance of a website based on the components of those websites, by checking the heaviness of a file, or the structure of a website, or the structure of a specific app, how the tags are made, or whatever, because this stuff can be measured by automatic system, like other software. They can do that for us. They can optimize the code for us. We should actually check the performance of a user. So the user experience should be at the center, and the user response should be the one that we have to care the most to optimize our website.
I actually kind of agree with this. I tend to personally focus on the users more than I do this kind of idealized environment. Here's the thing about web design. It's the same thing with actually, no, it's a little different than graphic design. Graphic design, there's always one way to do things. There's one standard of measurement. There's one general size for business cards. There's one general size for your publishing magazines and newspapers and that kind of stuff. And that doesn't exist in web development and web design. There are a lot of languages. There are a lot of frameworks. There are a lot of different ways to get the same results. And so what I tend to look at whenever I start a project is, okay, who's my user base?
Yeah.
Who is going to need this? And I actually, even if something looks nice and runs well and it's all fancy and shiny and if my users aren't going to use it, I don't need to spend the time in their budget creating it.
Exactly.
Or even creating it from a framework. If it's something that I will never maintenance, that I know that I'll never maintenance, and I know that I'll never really work on, it's just not worth it. I think a balanced approach is a good idea. definitely performance must be emphasized, because there's no way for us to get better if we can't work on better performance, better components, basically, lighter components, lighter ways of doing things, less lines of code, less files that have to be loaded into your browser. As long as we kind of work towards that goal, I think we can still kind of work on our own user base as well. Because the problem that I tend to see is that I see these developers who say, in a perfect environment, you should do this. And they give you their formula, and they say everyone should do this formula.
Yeah.
But I find that a bit short-sighted, because we do so much with so many languages, and every industry is different. I mean, for instance, the medical industry really doesn't change a lot, and a lot of things are still running on older programming languages.
Oh yes.
Because they still work and they're still supported.
Yeah.
And they're intergenerational. So, the medical industry will be a little bit different than the music industry, which will rely heavily on sound integration, needing faster loading times, faster performance, faster speed,
new virtual instruments, and
exactly. Versus the art community, the fine art community, which will be primarily visually based, and really your biggest issue is responsive optimization. At that point. So, I think every kind of industry has its own way of doing things.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know of any developer out there who doesn't do this. Because I know we don't.
We do it. Like, I think what this user did to create this kind of rail performance model, that actually a rail stands for response, animation, idle, and load, that are the four main goals that for them we should point it to. But what they did, basically, they put down a pre-made step-by-step guide of what pretty much every developer, especially during the user testing part of a project, every developer does. It's kind of like standard. So, but they put some like more strict rules that I can understand. I kind of agree, and they're trying to create more clarity on this, especially on the animation and loading time, because sometimes we see a lot of these websites that they use heavily. They rely heavily on animations to engage the users during loading time. But then in this article, it stated that an animation shouldn't last more than, each frame shouldn't be less than 16 milliseconds. And all the animation, this should be an introduction to something. So we should avoid animation just like for the sake of animating something, just to make it pretty. But animation has to be like meaningful and has to guide the user to the next step after a response or something. But yeah, they put these strict guides, like 16 milliseconds, a response should be longer than 100 milliseconds, all this stuff that probably we know, because we can understand when something is too long, but we didn't put in a specific number.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to, that varying with the type of, for instance, you're going to have more animations for more youth-oriented or younger demographic applications. That tends to be more of because they tend to be more visually stimulated than older demographics. So I think it will vary a little bit, not very much. I think those are good general practices. Yeah. But I see so much fluctuation right now, and I see so many websites not paying attention to user experience. A lot, and I think anybody out there who's a developer knows this. I think in some way it gets lost in the marketing concept, or a marketer is in charge of it, to where they're not listening. I think sometimes they don't listen, or someone is not listening to someone. I dare say that I hope that some of the worst sites that we've seen, and poorest loading and that kind of thing. Movie websites tend to be notorious for this. They're very slow to load. They try to employ all of this code that sometimes is incredibly heavy.
Yeah.
Especially, it's not that bad now. It's actually much easier now that Bootstrap is kind of a thing. It's actually much easier now. But back in 2010, sites were still using Flash, and they were still trying to do these ridiculous things. They looked cool if you had the internet speed and the browser capability and the graphics card capability, but it was absolutely atrocious if you didn't. And so, it's. I think we're seeing much more of a streamlined, approach to animation and web development, even web apps too. We're seeing much more, and asking yourself the question, does the animation really need to go there?
Yeah.
So,
but did you recently, like, speaking about this, did you recently navigate the website, the Web Awards, like www awards? The website where you can submit your website and other users will vote it. If you notice, like, the winners or the top ranked website are super fancy, they're really crazy, they're amazing, visually they're stunning, and I'm really like stoked. Sometimes I watch this website, how did they do that? But then if you think about it, like, UX perspective, like, how usable is this? Or you access the website in a mobile or a tablet or with a slow connection, it's just gross. It's just like a horrible web experience.
I think it tends to be more of a showmanship, the show-off type of thing for a website. Because most of the websites that most of us deal with on a daily basis are functional first. Design works with function.
Yeah.
Most of these sites are design first and functionality second. I tend to see, not all of them. There's some beautiful sites in there, and I've taken a lot of notes from some amazing things I've seen in there. But that's not stuff that you tend to use in the everyday. And as we all know, anybody who's listening, we don't always get clients who are willing to let you cut loose.
Yeah.
And do what you want and do what you think will look the best. Sometimes there tends to be a lot of compromise. A lot of times sometimes you'll have clients who say, you know what, go for it, I trust you. But more often than not, clients will come to you and say, okay, this is exactly what I want the site to look like. This is my idea. This is what we need. This is what our shareholders need. This is what our clients need. And so you're working for your clients' clients, and you're working for your clients' shareholders, and whoever else is involved. And so most of the time we don't get to cut loose. And so I think that most of these websites are those small agencies or even large agencies who have the ability to do it. So there's nothing wrong with it. They're beautiful websites. I'm not putting down any of them. But I think most designers and developers are also aware that, I think we're all aware that, those really nice websites you get to design kind of come once in a blue moon. So most of the time you're not designing those sites.
Yes.
So, and there's nothing wrong with the sites that are not that, but it's we don't get to cut loose very often.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's the old budget and stuff like.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes we just don't have the budget for it.
Money. It's all about money. Anyway.
Kind of. Business. Yeah.
Speaking about money, no, not really.
Really.
It was a really weak tie to the next argument. But do you remember we talked about how Sketch is taking basically all the marketing cake of Adobe, like is eating Adobe on every side, is just destroying Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator altogether with this super small company made of 4 people that
I don't know if I would go that far about destroying them, but it's definitely making waves, I think.
Destroying. Anyway,
I know
Adobe,
that's what you want.
Yes. Adobe probably is feeling like some bad vibrations in the air because they just released an announcement for a product that they're gonna release in 2016, and they didn't even state like beginning, end, middle, fall, whatever. Basically, is Adobe Comet. It's, well, if you take a look, is Sketch with a gray.
No, it's Sketch. It's
Sketch. It's Sketch with a gray background. Sketch is white by default. It's like, Yes, and basically they took Sketch and InVision, they put it together, and now they're gonna release next year somehow next year this product. And of course, it's gonna be a clone and a mismatch of like Photoshop, Illustrator, and Adobe Muse. That is the software that they use to prototype, and it's gonna be all together. It's gonna be like a vector, but you can do also photo, like small photo retouching, and you can do prototype all together. Basically, they redid Fireworks from scratch. No?
Great.
Is that bad? Is that too bad?
No, that just doesn't make me happy.
Yeah.
Fireworks just needs to go away. It doesn't need to be reported.
No, that was my thought. I don't know. It probably is not true, but
just when I hear that name. Yeah, oh my gosh. Well, it's interesting. Adobe has the ability to do what Sketch does. They just haven't done it.
Yeah.
And now it looks like they are. They're utilizing their multiple artboards. They're utilizing basically stuff they could have done a long time ago, but it just seems like it's more of a wake-up call.
Yes,
I don't know if this is going to destroy Sketch.
No.
But because here's the thing, Sketch is not going to be a monthly recurring payment.
Yeah, exactly.
So you buy it once and you have it, it's yours.
Yeah.
As opposed to, but the other problem is, Comet is going to be included in the software packages. Yeah. So that means it's also going to have Adobe support. And it's going to be inter-supported by other Adobe projects, applications.
Yeah.
So it's going to be part of the Adobe family. So it may do some damage to Sketch. Because most of the people who are using Adobe now are on the monthly subscription plan.
Yes.
And most of those people are also, they're businesses, so they have several computers linked up to it.
Yeah.
So for those companies, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. But I think if you're using Mac and you don't have a subscription, I think it is going to be.
Yeah.
It could be.
I think it's going to be like, it's not going to attract freelancer or like single designers or developers. Like they already switched to Sketch.
Yeah, I think it's more of like an Adobe saying, we have this too.
Yeah, we have to do something about it. Hey,
well, that's what they did with After Effects. They didn't have Flash, so they did something which was pretty much the same thing. And now Flash is still part of Adobe, but I'm actually, I use After Effects for certain projects.
Yeah.
But After Effects still works well with Premiere Pro. Yes. Which I use, and so I use Premiere Pro and After Effects in combination because it works very well, and it's much easier for me to import After Effects stuff than to deal with Flash.
Yes.
So
Flash is also dead. So
yes, that too. So After Effects is interesting because After Effects originally started as the answer to Flash, but now it's basically becoming whatever you need it to be, which is just like the step up from the Adobe animation.
Oh well, let's not forget that like J.J. Abrams used After Effects to do all these lens glare, all lens flares and all the stuff. But basically, he's like heavily used in the industry, like movie industries, to do a lot of things. So yeah. Something that started as a competitor for a web thing for Flash, now it's used as like sort of standard for post-production for movies. And that's interesting. You can see how a software evolves, like how the idea of a software evolves based on how users use it.
Right.
And
who uses it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll see with this Comet. I think, is it too late for Adobe maybe? Like is it really competitive with this thing?
I don't think so. The thing about Adobe, smaller creative agencies are finding better ways to do the same things as larger agencies. I work in a moderately small company. I think I have about the same amount of people in mine that I work for, and But see, I'm the only designer, web designer, basically. I'm a web developer, but I started in design, so design is kind of my first thing. And so myself and so I have Adobe CC, and a few others in the office have it too. But again, it's only one subscription for 2 licensed computers, and so it's not a tax on us, because the thing is, I use everything.
Oh yes.
I use Photoshop for photos. I use Illustrator for logos. I don't really use Dreamweaver too much. I use Sublime Text most of the time. For coding, or I just go into the file itself. Use a basic text editor. Or if I'm in PHP, we use something else. But then for any videos or media stuff that I do, I use After Effects and then Premiere Pro. And of course, see, the thing is, it's also really nice to have all that because I have Encoder as well.
Yes.
So Encoder is part of that. Adobe, all of the Acrobat stuff is part of that. So, basically, it's everything I need to do my job. I would be scrambling for products and applications and stuff like that otherwise.
Oh, yes.
And it would cost actually a lot more money to do everything, to find other individual things to buy than it would, because I constantly have Adobe support as well. So if something breaks, I can call them. And so it depends. It really depends on the type of job and who's doing what.
Yes, exactly.
And I think a lot of agencies are, but it also depends on what the agency caters to, like their audience. If your audience doesn't require you to have an Adobe license, you'll find something else. I think it's, I don't think it's practical to use Adobe if you don't need it.
Totally. Well, we'll see. I'm actually looking forward for this product. I'm curious because they released, of course, a demo video that is not actually a demo video, but it's like all the employees that work on Comet, they brag about how Comet is so fast, it's so cool. And if you have the chance, just take a look at the video because it's just so funny. They look like actors talking. Talking to
$10, say nice things.
Reading a script. Dead eyes, reading a script and say, "Oh, our product is so good.
It's really changed my life."
Yes, like that. But looking at the video and the demo, like people using the product, looks really lightning fast, and I'm kind of curious, but we'll see soon.
That should be interesting.
Anyway, last argument. It was exhausted a lot by everyone during this week, and it was kind of like the I don't know. For me, is the bubble of the startups that we are basically we're gonna
Peeple
see
app?
soon. People. How do you pronounce it? People.
Like people. It's like people, but more offensive.
People. Anyway,
Peeple.
this People app, everyone knows, is like Yelp for people. So like users can sign up and write a review about you without you even knowing. And they can there are a lot of mixed things about this app. At the beginning was like you can sign up a user just by knowing his first name and phone number. So every one of your friend, even like the high school friend that probably has still your phone number, can sign up on this stuff, can sign you up on this stuff.
And
other
people whom you don't know can review you.
Exactly. And you don't know. And at the beginning was like you won't receive any notification. You have to check the app to see if you have reviews about you, and you can't delete the app, but you can send a mail. You can send like a physical message to the owners of the app and say, hey, this review is not right, please delete it, and you have 48 hours to do it. All this kind of crazy stuff. And just...
Actually, you have 48 hours to make it up with the person who reviewed you. They actually said that they would not delete negative comments.
Okay.
That it's up to you to contact the person who did that. And see, here's a big problem with this.
Jesus
First of all, I
Christ.
feel really bad for these two ladies because they really wanted to make and they wanted to get into the tech industry and make a big thing. And I've listened to their interviews, They seem really genuine in that they want to
They had
help,
no idea.
and they want to make a big splash in the tech industry.
Yeah.
And they want to do it for other women, and that's admirable. However, what they've done is they've become Mean Girls.
Yes.
From the movie.
Yes.
And they've created an app to allow everyone to be forced back into high school.
Yes.
Because here's the problem. There are multiple things, and I actually tweeted this to them, and other people started doing this too, is that this actually increases and facilitates domestic violence and abuse.
Yes.
Yes. If someone is being stalked, and that stalker, if they have your phone number, and if they're an ex, and if you have a restraining order on them, does not matter. They can sign you up and then do horrible things to your name.
Yes.
And it can also reveal personal information if you're hiding from someone, if you're in the witness protection program, if you're hiding from a stalker, if you're hiding from someone who's threatened to kill you, if you're working with the police and some idiot from your high school decides to sign you up, all of a sudden your information is there with the reviews saying that you're in Spokane, Washington, and the Starbucks barista didn't like you. All of a sudden that information is compromised, putting you and your possibly family in danger. There are also issues of the depression and the suicide that it could cause people of every race, gender, and orientation. High school is going to completely abuse this app. I mean, it's going to be horrible.
We already have suicides of like high school children that they get stalked and abused and bullied on Facebook, and you can totally sign off on Facebook and don't check it.
Because if you sign off of Facebook, if you deactivate your account, your name disappears.
Yeah.
So people can't tag you and say,
whatever. Yeah.
You're bullying him online, and all people seems to be is just another weapon and the tool of bullies. And what's the weirdest thing to me is that these women seem completely oblivious to it. I saw actually John Oliver covered it, and he said, they played a clip where she said, "We just want to prove that all of the world just loves you and is positive." And John Oliver said, "You've never been on the internet, have you?"
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. I mean, how many women have go onto the internet and are, have rape threats, daily rape threats?
Yes.
How many women go on and have one opinion about something, and all of a sudden everyone's saying that they're going to kill them and rape their family and rape them?
No, they're totally, like, you can see from the interview that they're totally detached from reality.
Yeah.
And one statement that it was just hilarious and scary at the same time. It was like this girl, like, I don't remember her name, whatever, doesn't matter. But she stated, like, it doesn't matter what's happening in your life. All that matters is what people thinks about you.
Yes. And
what
that is
flash.
Yeah, I got really ragey about this because
God.
Here's the thing. I do my best to be nice, to do good, to help others.
Yeah.
However, there are people out there who have decided that they believe that I am evil for whatever, I don't care. And there are some people that I've met in my life that have been legitimately mentally ill. Yeah. Some of them would really love to make my life miserable. Thankfully, the internet does not facilitate that level of abuse and bullying. So, and I think we all have those people. I mean, if you're listening, you can think of at least 2 people in your life who would love to make your life a living hell. Yeah. And if they could, they would use people to do it, or they would use some way to do it to tarnish your name. The big problem that I have also is that you don't have to verify the validity of what was reviewed. So I could go on there and say, someone with hoop earrings. Let's say somebody like super, super like judgmental goes to Starbucks, sees someone with hoop earrings, and says, that person is probably some crazy tree hugger. This person is a crazy tree hugger who spit in my coffee. All of a sudden, that review goes on to Google and is attached to your name forever because they're not going to delete it. They don't delete bad reviews, and they don't delete your name. So this is literally a nightmare This is the epitome of a nightmare application. And the fact that these women seem to be so oblivious is dangerous.
They have no idea how the internet works. They're not tech people, and they got founded for like millions of dollars for this bubble. It's just a bubble, and it's gonna explode. Actually, I'm gonna give you an update right away.
Okay.
A blog post was published from BBC 2 hours ago.
Okay.
Peeple, the amazing app, after shutting down Twitter and Facebook page yesterday, today they shut down the website. That if you try to go there, it says not found and an error is triggered. So
interesting.
You cannot find anywhere else on the internet, like anywhere anymore, not on social media, not on their website, the actually existence of this app.
It's interesting.
They just released this. The BBC wrote this 2 hours ago. I checked, and that's right. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I have rarely seen something that so unified the internet in hatred.
That was.
I mean, we were all mad about
amazing.
that CEO guy who jacked up the price of the AIDS medication.
Yeah.
But that was nothing compared to these two.
Yes.
And because again, no one, and I didn't see anybody necessarily villainizing these two women, but I understand there are ways to make the Peeple app good. And I'll just say this: if you remove the star system, okay, remove the star rating, and if you remove all negative comments and say negative comments will not be tolerated and will be taken down, all of a sudden it becomes a compliment app.
Yeah.
So if you sign up, all it becomes is people complimenting you on whatever.
Yeah.
And you can report, and it doesn't, and then have it to be where if you sign up, you have to approve the comments. It's kind of like an endorsement on LinkedIn. You have to review it and approve it. And so all that's going to do is it's going to really bump up your online presence and make you look fantastic.
Yeah.
So, if you get a review from someone on this, alternate universe Peeple app that says this person was a jerk, you can just hit report and it goes away. Yeah. And if a person gets like 3 or 4 reports on bad reviews, their account becomes suspended. So trolls cannot use it. Yeah. It's so simple. I mean, it's just, there's so many, like, I like the idea of a compliment app. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
As long as you relegate it to like the Facebook style of only having a like button. And so the only way people could not like you is to be passive aggressive and not write a review about you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just think I think the idea of having a positive outlook was there, but unfortunately, and I really dislike the fact that they tried to say that they inferred that if you didn't agree with them, that you were against women in tech, and that is absolutely not true. I was seeing women in tech. Most of the negative reviews I was seeing were women who were in technology, in the IT fields and in web development.
Yeah.
Because most of the internet, I think the internet users tend to be more predominantly female. But it was all of the internet. It was everyone from the left and the right, politically,
absolutely.
Every religion, every orientation. They were all like screaming at the top of their lungs that, we graduated high school. We don't need to go back to it.
They already damaged other companies, like other than Yelp. There's this other company called Peeple. They have the same name, and it's a company that works for more than for more than 10 years, and they create smart objects for your smart home. And they got so much hate on the internet, and they were like, for the first 2 days, they didn't have any idea what was happening, like why everyone is hating us, why they are writing these horrible things on Twitter about us. We're not what you think we are. Like, we are another company. So these ladies founded this company without even searching for the stupid name they picked. It was like insane.
Which I wonder if they received multiple cease and desist letters then, because people had every right, if they've been around 10 years, to sue them. They may actually be sued. I would dare say that people could sue them.
They're totally
for millions.
Sued,
and Yelp could do it too. Yelp, because that's defamation. To say that to make an app that produces bullying, and then because Yelp already deals with rumors and that kind of thing of bullying, of being bullies and bullying businesses. And so they already but they deal with that PR actively. They deal with those PR problems all the time, to make sure that people know that you can go on there and and they also don't like the fact that people go on there and bully bars and restaurants and that thing. They really don't like that, and they will take swift action. So with this is like a red alert system for them, because all of a sudden they're being branded with a bullying app, which is the last thing that they want, because they want people to legitimately log into their service and use it. To rate, because they want their ratings to be like, well, it was good atmosphere, but the food was bad, or the ribs were good, but the the Coke tasted flat, or something. That's what they want. So all of a sudden, these two women come out here and say, not only do they proclaim themselves to be pioneers in tech,
oh my God.
which is damaging. It's insanely damaging. Not only do they do that, they it's almost like they just came out and just tried to have a party and roped everybody into it, and everyone was like, no, stay away from me, and and then the internet's like mob justice, in which I don't think they should have been doxxed, and I don't think they should have been and I don't think they were. I don't think they should be strung out to be destroyed, but I think they should learn their lesson that you can't create a bullying app and then get away with it.
The internet. I think the entire like, stepping back, the entire internet ecosystem should learn that, especially investors, like they're throwing this like huge amount of money on stupid apps, and we are already seeing the damages of this. Like all this huge startup that in 1 year they get millions of dollars founded, and the year after are gone completely. And this startup environment and the entire tech environment is like in this huge bubble that is going to explode soon if we keep doing this bullshit like this.
Well, and there's even talk about Silicon Valley having problems, and that things are actually moving to other parts of the country. There was a place in Nebraska that's becoming like a mini Silicon Valley, and they're talking about how things are starting to move away because it's becoming so bloated, and everyone wants to have a startup. Everyone wants to be a startup. Everyone wants to be the next. It's. I don't know
the next Yelp for people.
Everyone wants to be the next Facebook, and the problem is, the way Mark Zuckerberg became Mark Zuckerberg. Is that he worked his butt off, and he was not he did not prance around. And I see a lot of young startup guys prancing around, saying that their parents are rich and they can do whatever they want. And I'm like, well, are you really trying to make a startup, or are you legitimately attempting to help the tech industry, or are you not? And some of them have rich parents, and they're from wealthy families, and they're incredibly intelligent. They do great things. There's nothing wrong with that. Social status doesn't mean anything, and economic status doesn't mean anything. It just matters if you work hard, and if you work to make a good product. And if you do, that's fantastic. But if you're, rich or poor or from wherever, and you're just trying to make a startup to sound cool while you sit in Starbucks, if the whole point of you making that startup is to make money and become rich quick, that's not how startups work.
That's
because you don't turn a profit for, a while. So
I kind of appreciate like the guys, the two founders of Snapchat. They got offered through the years like billions and billions of dollars. Like recently, Facebook, and the latest one was Google offered them, I think, like $3 billion to sell Snapchat, and they say no. This is our company. We want to manage, and we want to keep going with our company. Like, even if Snapchat is, for me, the stupidest idea ever. Like, it's like made for soft porn between teenagers. That's the whole idea of Snapchat. Like, I'm gonna send you lots of dick pics, and they're gonna be deleted. It's fine. And
I actually use Snapchat with some of my friends. It's actually kind of fun to show each other. Like, as an adult, it's fun to show each other your day, like throughout the day, like stuff you do.
I thought you were going to say is
say
each other your D.
No.
Your day. That's a code. That's a code name for you and your friends.
Day is not a code name for day.
Hey, can you show me your day? How's your day going? Pretty rough.
Okay. No. I know Snapchat is used for that, but basically so is everything else. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's fun. Like, I have friends. Okay, so I basically have friends all over the world, and it's fun for us to send Snapchats to each other because I know what the weather is like in Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Oh, that's terrible. I can tell you.
It's kind of like a mini Denver, or the same Denver. I have friends all over the world, and it's fun to see what life is like for them. And that's why Instagram is so much fun too.
Yes.
Because they're like, oh, I'm just walking down the street. A lot of us don't have the chance to walk down the street of Tokyo.
Yeah.
Or walk into stores all over the world and to take photos. And so it's a super fun way of kind of sharing that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Although I only Snapchat with maybe 2 or 3 people, and even then I haven't done it lately. Basically, we would just send Snapchats of us working, or Snapchats of our desk. We're like walking to and from work. So our boring day, just kind of sharing.
So much fun.
Or beers we were drinking or something. Yeah. It's just something fun, just to connect with each other, just kind of ping each other throughout the day. So, but I am not a teenager, and I'm not their major demographic, and I haven't used Snapchat in a while, so. That's probably not what everybody else is using it for. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not.
Anyway, to conclude, Peeple, like the founder, one of the 2 founders, they released a statement on LinkedIn and say, it's all good. We're gonna release the app on the 12th of October. So in the meantime, they're completely gone from the face of the internet. So we'll see what's gonna happen.
Well, I know their investors were doxxed. There were about 3 or 4 investors, and their information was released on the internet, including their personal emails.
That's bad.
So I get the impression that the funding may have been removed.
Maybe.
So, if I was them, man, I would write a big blog about how wrong they were. And anyway, that's my take. Sorry.
Well, we told you guys that this was a crazy week. So what the hell happening? Well, that was a fun episode, even if a bit raging up.
It was ranty. This was our ranty episode, everybody.
Ranty episode. It's fine. Sometimes you need to, because of stupid people that create stupid ideas. Anyway, as usual, thank you everyone for listening to our rant. And
we promise to be less ranty next week.
Maybe or maybe not.
Depending on the topic.
Yes. If you just step down from your pedestal of master of the universe, probably we could be less ranty. Come on, Michael. Come on, Michael.
No. I like sitting on my planet. Thank you very much. No.
Yes. How's He-Man and Skeletor? Come on.
They're fine.
They're fine. Anyway, thank you everyone for checking this podcast, and please subscribe or follow us on SoundCloud or iTunes or YouTube or wherever you want, and send us questions if you have questions, if you want to know how we got this power from the universe, or how we managed to be so damn good with our voice. I don't know, just ask whatever you want.
Also, I would recommend that if you guys want to follow us on Twitter,
I'm gonna totally put the description and the link to our Twitters in the description below the video, so just
contact us, ask us questions. We're totally open. If you ask us questions, we'll definitely address it. And
don't be rude, please, because we're really delicate flowers.
We need hugs and coffee.
Oh God, yes.
Hug and coffee, yes.
Okay, coffee right now. Yes. Okay, thank you again, everyone, and see you next week. Bye.